In this video, we're looking at percent of change, and few things have had a greater percent of change than the stock prices of a company called GameStop.
All right, let's get to GameStop. But we're seeing extreme volatility in this stock. Look at it today, up nearly 8%.
As the company surged as much as 145% today.
Shares of the company have soared nearly 800% over the past week. In less than a year, the company's stock has jumped from less than $3 a share to almost $350.
Up nearly 8%, surged as much as 145%, soared nearly 800%. All these are examples of percent of change. So how can we find percent of change? We'll use GameStop to kind of help us out. So first of all, when you look at this, finding percent of change, there's three key parts. First of all, we have the amount before change, kind of like the starting point. The second part is the percent, which we're going to have written as a decimal. And the final part is the amount of change. How much does something increase or decrease? It could be tax, tips, all kinds of stuff. So let's say we started out with $5 and now we have $3. So maybe we bought something or whatever. So the $5 is the amount we had before change. It turns into $3. So the amount of change was 2. So it changed to the total. So this is a one-step equation. And what we can do is try to get the letter P by itself. We're going to divide both sides by 5. And that's going to give us the decimal 0.4, which is our percent as a decimal. Just multiply it by 100, and that's going to give us our percent. So in this case, 40%. So this would be a 40% change. Now, because it went down from 5 to 3, it's a 40% decrease. So we're going to use some of these different situations where we can calculate this with GameStop. So the first one is, how did it change for the month? So on January 4th, the price was $17.25. By January 29th, it was $325. That's a $307.75 change. So when we set this up, the $17.25 was the starting amount. The $307.75 was how much it changed, not what it became. Divide both sides by 17.25, and we end up getting P equals, and we go ahead and divide that 307.75 by 1725, and we get this long decimal, 17.84, and so on. We multiply it by 100, which causes the decimal to move twice to the right. So if we're writing the percent of change, we could say 1,784.1%, or we could just round it off to a whole number, and it would be 1,784. So the next one is the change for a week. Now, the week of January 25th to 29th was a crazy week. And so you can see it went from $76.79 to $325. That's a $248.21 change. Again, we set it up with the $76.79 is our starting amount. The $248.21 is the amount changed, so we divide both sides by $76.79. On the right side, when we divide that, we end up getting this decimal of 3.23, and it carries on for a while. Again, multiply it by 100, and it's going to turn into 323.2% if we want to go to the 10th spot. If we just want to go to a whole number, it would just be 323%. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the changes in day to day. So we're going to again look at this week of the 25th to the 29th. And you can see the different prices here. And there was a lot of wild swings, up and down. So we're going to go from each day. This is going to be a total of 4 of them. So from Monday, which was $76.79, to Tuesday, it was $147.98. That's a $71.19 change. So we just set it up like this. Now, a good little thing to remember is if anytime you double a price, that would be 100% change. And this one came close. So we divide both sides by the $76.79, which was the original amount. And when we do that, we get our decimal of 0.927073 and so on. So pretty close to 100%. Once we multiply it by 100, we end up with 92.7%. If you want to round that off to a whole number, we could call that 93%. So we'd have a 93% change. Now, because the amount went up, that would be a 93% increase. Now, when we went from Tuesday to Wednesday, you can see it was a huge jump. It more than doubled. So the amount of increase was $199.53. We divide both sides by what the Tuesday amount was, which is the $147.98. And so we divide both sides by that. Now on the left, we're just left with our variable P. On the right side, when we do our division, we're going to come up with a decimal of 1.348 and then so on. So again, we multiply by 100, and when we do that, the decimal always moves twice to the right. So we have 134.8% if you want to use the tenth. If we want to make it a whole number, it would be 135% increase. So it more than doubled. Now, the next one we're going to look at from Wednesday to Thursday. Now this one actually went down from 347 to 193.60. So this was a pretty big drop of $153.91 in one day. So we divide both sides by what the amount was, I believe it was on Wednesday, which was the 347.51. Now on the left side, we're just going to be left with our variable P. On the right side, we divide the 153.91 divided by 347.51. You see we get 0.44 and so on. We again multiply by 100, so we get 44 point, and if we round it off, it would be 0.3%. Now, if we want to call it a whole number, we just call it 44%. Now, this is a decrease. So it's a 44% decrease because the amount went down. Now, the last day of the week, it rebounds from 193 back up to 325. So that's an increase of $131.40. We divide both sides by the 193.60 because that's what it was Thursday before it became Friday. When we divide both sides, on the left, we're going to be left with our variable P. On the right side, again, taking the 131.40 divided by 193.60, we end up with 0.6787 and so on. Again, multiply it by 100. That means the decimal is going to move twice to the left, or I'm sorry, twice to the right. And you would get 87, no I wouldn't, I would get 67.9%. If you wanted to round it up to the nearest whole number, we'd call it 68%. Because it went up, is a 68% increase. Now, we're going to look from the year to year. Now, this is a pretty big jump. So back in 2020, the price of the stock was only $4.13. By 2021, it was $325. So the 413 was the starting amount. The 320.87 is how much it changed. Divide both sides by that 413. Now when we do that, again, the left side is just our P, which is our percent as a decimal. We divide the other side also by 4.3 or 4.13, and you get 77.69 and a bunch of other numbers. If we multiply by 100, that decimal moved 2 times to the right, and we end up with 7,769.2%. Or if you just want to go a whole number, 7,769%. A dramatic increase.